In this video, I'm going to be going in depth into contacts background for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Contacts. You know people, human people, from many different walks of life. Contacts primarily provide you with information in their areas of expertise, and they may want to exchange favors of various kinds. For different kinds of help, use your influence on page 187 in the mortal world, or call upon your allies in page 184, or Mwala, page 192. A contact is someone in an excellent position to get information. You might be a police dispatcher rather than a homicide lieutenant, or a congressional staffer rather than a senator. Information brokers, gossip columnists, underworld fixers, and reporters make excellent contacts. You can define your contacts when you buy this background, or as you need to introduce them in a play. Whenever you create them, make sure to add them to the relationship map. Now that we've read the description, what is the difference between contacts and allies, as they sound very familiar? Allies are close to you in some way, and they require a relationship. A contact is just someone that you know. This means that they are no freebies because you are not friends. Information is going to be the best asset of the contact. The contact Smokey, a small-time drug dealer, might be able to give you some ideas who you can talk to in order to buy a gun, and definitely would sell you some drugs if you needed. But Smokey isn't going to do any of that for free, and he will flip on you in a second if he thinks he can get himself out of trouble by doing so. I'm not saying that contacts are untrustworthy, just that they have to be motivated more so than allies. Creating a contact. My first step is generally the same. Who is the contact? What does he do? What is his specialty? What does he look like? And why are you important to him? I suggest starting with what the player is looking for. Once this is known, then move on to what he does do. What is his occupation? What is his specialty? Is it a cop that monitors the coming and going from jail? Is it a reporter that works strange cases for back page filler? Once this is figured out, give the person a name and a look. Always fall back on getting a picture of someone that looks similar to the contact and use that. Why are you important to the contact? Being that nothing the contact does for you is free, there has to be something that the character has that the contact can benefit from. Smokey the drug dealer maybe looks at the character as a valuable customer and willing to pay well for information. Officer Mason works at the jail and is willing to let you know who has been brought in and why, or who is leaving and when. In return, Officer Mason has a thing for cigars, and the character owns or has someone close to them that owns a cigar shop to offer him top brands. Jack the reporter is willing to let you in on his future stories or information on his past stories because the character has sway with his editor and keeps him working unhindered. There's no need for any stats for a contact. Contacts are not going to be doing anything risky for the character. And if an odd chance they do, the storyteller can decide how that is to be handled. How to best use a contact. The best way of using contact is for the information that the contact was designed to give. If a contact is created to use as a street informant, remember that your information is going to be fairly accurate. If you ask the same contact for anything outside of this wheelhouse, it becomes less reliable. As a storyteller, how I determine their strength and their wheelhouse is according to how many dots they are. A one-dot contact is bottom rung information and a resources of 1. So I'll use Smokey as an example. One-dot Smokey knows a lot of people to go to in order to find illegal things, but is limited to small amounts of drugs and nothing expensive. He may point the characters to a guy that sells guns, but it's going to be stolen pistols and guns that are nothing fancy. Two-dot Smokey knows the workings of the streets and who to talk to in order to find anything you might be looking for there. His resources are still fairly low, but he can still get a good amount of drugs if needed, maybe in small amounts of cocaine. Now, three-dot Smokey is a fountain of knowledge about life on the streets. He's a group of dealers working under him, and he hears all kinds of things. His resources are high enough now that he can make calls on what people can get for you, and anything you might need from the streets. Want a kilo of cocaine? Want some top-of-the-line firearms? If Smokey doesn't know how to get it, he knows someone that does. Now, as a storyteller, what I do if I'm uncertain about what kind of information that the contact might have is to roll a number of dice equal to the dots for the contact. If one success is garnered, then they had the information that the character is looking for. Repay that contact. Not the information is gained, the character owes the contact. The happier the contact in this deal, the better off the character is in the long run. If the character normally pays his contact in expensive cigars, they need to make the deal once the information is gained. I suggest the bigger the help, the bigger the reward. If the police contact calls the character and gives him a heads up about a person he was asking about last week, he had just gotten a warrant approved for his arrest. Instead of giving him a couple of expensive cigars, had that character send him a box of his favorite cigars. Actions like this will tell the contact that he can count on good things if he takes care of the character. I hope this gives you a little more insight on the contact's background, or at least gives you some ideas that you can use in your own games.